Morning.
How's it going, Hardy?
Fine, thanks yourself.
Yeah, good. Nice to finally meet you over video.
Yeah. Good morning. How are you, Glenn?
Good, man. Good. Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much
Glenn.
for inviting me onto the panel. I hope you don't live to regret your decision.
Hey, we're excited, man. I'm excited to hear what's happening at SeaMonster.
Cool. Happy to share. Trying to promote serious gaming as a way to change the world, you know?
Yeah.
And congratulations on the funding. I read that recently.
Yeah, thank God. We actually started the conversation with them in July last year. We've had a lot of inbound interest over the years, and just decided that we had to kind of get off the service treadmill. You know, you can't make enough money to fund your your own products. It's just too complicated. There are too many moving parts. So we signed the term sheet with them on 4th of Jan. So who would have known? Hey, who would have known? So nice insurance to have. And we're building some very cool things. I'll be sharing with you guys. One of them is a big game platform that we're building for brands, basically. You know, that's kind of the category we play in. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danny, do you want to start with your introduction?
Yeah, with me. Are we live?
We're live.
We are. This virtual presenting thing is fun. Cool. I'll start. I'll introduce myself. So my name is Danny Geert. I'm the managing director of a company called RebelRebel, which is a digital solutions firm based in Cape Town that represents a number of innovative digital and technical kind of marketing technology platforms from around the world. And we bring all of these kind of platforms from the likes of Canada, the US, and Israel to Africa. Obviously, Africa is obviously a nice burgeoning market, both in the digital marketing space and especially in the gaming space. So we're kind of poised to help brands enter that gaming space through the channels that we represent here.
Okay. Glenn.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm Glenn Gillis. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SeaMonster. We're an animation and serious gaming company that's based in Cape Town. We've got 35 full-time staff, plus 15 developers that we work with closely. We've been around since 2011, and our focus really is on how animation can be used to extract our own stories and then present them back to people in a way that is sort of bite-sized and visual, and then how games can be used to give people a sense of agency that through their own actions they can change the world around them. Our focus really is on things like financial education, entrepreneurship, any big social issue, learning issue, which we think can drive big business outcomes at scale. And that's the niche we play in. We have also kind of by mistake become one of the leaders in augmented reality, having been at the forefront of it now for almost 10 years. And we've built most of the big industrial VR applications that have been actually battle tested. So as that starts to emerge from the disappointment curve, changing the world, one game at a time, man.
Okay. Well, I'm Hardy. I'm one of the co-founders of Emoji Digital. We're a transmedia studio where we develop virtual characters. We managed to launch sort of the first local virtual character right at the beginning of lockdown. That is Kim Zulu. We've seen quite a lot of growth around that. And we're launching a virtual character in India, in Lagos, in Nairobi, and in LA during the back end of this year. So it's quite a busy Q4 that's upon us. And really for us, it's really around creating authentic and really like real storylines around our virtual characters and really sort of messing with that divide between real life and the sort of digital life. That's what we do. We collaborate with Danny and the team and Mike there with RebelRebel. So we have some familiarity with each other. But I'm really interested to hear what else is happening at SeaMonster.
Absolutely. Would it be okay with you if I just kind of grab my screen, and I understand we've got about 10 minutes just to put some thoughts out there, and then use that as the basis for a conversation? Would that be okay with you guys?
That's cool.
Yeah, all good. Let's see if this works. So far, so good. Just stand by. Cool. So what I thought I would do is I just, there are two frameworks that we've really used over the years. I'm going to share one with them, and it's just a kind of way of thinking about all these kind of major trends that are taking place in the industry. Just checking that you can see a screen that says the business of gaming. Just want to make sure the tech's working. Cool. And so I want to position that framework, and it's yours to use or not as you see fit, but it's useful to get to the heart of a conversation kind of quickly. And then we're going to quickly share one case study of a game that we built with Capitech. So yeah, literally won't take more than a few minutes to kind of get through that. I think I've positioned SeaMonster. Maybe just the one point to make is that what we're really fascinated by is what people do, and so this idea that we're moving people or behavior change really does underpin a lot of what we do. It's no longer good enough that you know something. We think that it's only what you do that really matters. So that really underpins the philosophy of the company. So if we zoom right out, and you think about how humans have kind of been giving some sense of structure, rules, and feedback, and so on, to interactivity for the longest time, games is one way that we've been doing that. And particularly in Africa, the history of games is extremely rich and nuanced. And of course, with the rise of the technology that is available to us now, we have increasing interactivity, but really, do we have agency in the world? And that's something that completely fascinates us. So if you think about it for a minute, why we play games hasn't really changed for the longest time. And broadly speaking, you can kind of put them into four silos, if you like, into categories. And often it's a blend of two or three of these things sort of taking place at the same time. When a lot of people think about games, what they imagine really is, two teenagers sitting in their underpants on a couch somewhere playing Fortnite. And of course, the entertainment vertical is massive, but there's a huge range of game players. As the big secret is that the richest seam of game players is actually 35 to 55-year-old women globally, the casual Candy Crush market, really. But if you think, also games can be used to trade. I mean, game theory is used by some of the most sophisticated trading houses in the world, and you can see where the inspiration comes from. And then what really motivates us at SeaMonster is, can we take learning and educational training things and really use games in the best possible way to kind of do that? So this is the model, and it's yours. You can use it under the Creative Commons license, and please make it your own. And so there are those verticals again. So social reasons, entertainment, commercial, or education reasons. So the why has not changed. But what technology does is affect how we do things. And so what we've got down the left-hand axis in a very, very simplified form is the value chain that we all go through. So we come up with an idea, we find some money, we make this thing, and then we've got to go out there and distribute and sell that. So technology influences the how, but not the why. Okay, so let me give you an example of how this could work, and particularly in the context of the esports category. So we know that the audience is actually gaming, and people are watching them game. And in some markets around the world, the data shows that more people watch people gaming than watch TV. And all the guys on this panel are better placed to kind of talk about the growing phenomena that exists around that. And so there's this curious blend of things that kind of happen. Let me give you a quick example of this. So brands are supposed to be about trust. I mean, that's the essence of what a brand is, from way back when. But actually what's happened is that we've seen this massive shift to the trust that is earned by so-called influencers, by genuine experts, by the unboxing generation. All of that is actually really shifted to the social silo. So we're getting our trust from people we've never met. So the latest device. Great, thank you, Sony. We believe you, we hear you, we understand you. But actually, it's what the community, the social community, really is saying about that the new products that really is driving that trust. From entertainment, the key insight really is that games are a voluntary activity. The alternative is called work, and that's kind of why they've had to pay us to do that. And now you've got sort of the commercial silo, let's call them advertising, which is increasingly irrelevant. You know, in the old days, we kind of used to have all of our entertainment interrupted by ads. That's what funded this whole thing. And to some extent, many games are still driven by ad revenues. And again, topic for another day. But what we've really seen is that subscription models have kind of become the order of the day. And what esports is kind of bringing to the table is the sense of community, the sense that I'm watching other people play, I can chat with people, I can relate to those kinds of people. And really, this is just one way that you can use this framework to think about what it is that you're doing. And again, what we've really got going for us, if you come from an entertainment background, is to think about, why would people use this? Why would people come back? Why? It's always about understanding that they're making a choice, that they've got a lot of options available to you. So let me quickly show you how that played out with Capitec. So we all know and love the brand, and it's really disrupted the banking sector in South Africa. And their insight was really, is there a massive strategic opportunity by creating an entirely new channel? And so they had a very long-term view on it, a very data-driven view on it. And we started a process with them. And what we've done is created a game for them called Living It Up. So, you know, financial education can be really, really boring. It's not something that you can learn in an abstract way. It's really something that you should try and fail at and so on. And so we really took a deep dive into understanding the knowledge and skills, and then how that could kind of be represented in a game. This is very lightly branded. It's really just the credibility and the trust that comes from Capitec. It's not trying to sell you anything directly. You know, so it really is just a fun game, kind of competing with all the other games out there. Again, that's what entertainment requires us to do. Lots of research went into understanding the personas and the archetypes. And games are really brilliant at doing that. They're bringing these characters to lives, putting you into their shoes, getting you to play a mini game related to Lorato's life and earning the cash that you need, and then seeing how you make those investment decisions, trying new strategies, failing safely. These are the kinds of things that kind of games can do. So just as I wrap up, I just want to share a couple of very, very quick insights with you. So just check at the data here. We've got 65,000 active users on the game at the moment. And look at that user engagement. We're engaging with these customers for almost 18 minutes a day. I mean, that's just insane. So when we show this to the head of marketing, they say, surely you mean 1.8 minutes, because we measure marketing engagement in seconds. And we're saying, no, the power of games is this long engagement, this giving people a reason to kind of come back. The rest of it is really just showing an incredible list of analytics that we run. So really, just to kind of give you a sense of what they've got out of it, is a whole new community. Again, learning from esports, picking up that idea that it really is the community, understanding the take-to-market challenges, because you're competing against every game that is out there. But we've also got a very scientific, very strategic kind of approach, and you'll watch the space because there are updates coming to the game on a regular basis. We're already seeing massive patterns in the data based on how you play the game and how that impacts what you do in the real world. And that's very, very exciting. So just kind of in a nutshell, my 10 minutes are up, but just to say that for us, we are hoping to position, along with many others around the world, that games can be an instrument of serious change, whether this is for non-profits or social benefit organizations or for companies. But again, it's got to be done carefully. This is not a competition entry mechanism dressed up as some sort of game. It requires investment. It requires strategic thinking. But my goodness, look back at the cost per engagement for Capitec. We're talking cents in the rand here. But you do need a plan, and you do need to be able to understand that, to design something of quality does take time, but it is absolutely well worth it. And finally, maybe just in conclusion, to say that for us, the disease, I guess so many of us feel, is that we can't change the world around us, whether we are working in a company or in our own lives. And I think it's incumbent upon game players and game designers to use the skills that we have to give people a sense of agency, a sense that through their own actions, they can, in fact, change the world around them. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you. I hope that came across clearly and was useful and interesting.
Thank you. It was. I'm quite interested that how you guys are using gaming as a platform for sort of affecting societal change. It's something that we think about consistently with the virtual characters, because whilst engaging people through the Instagrams and the Twitches of this world, it's quite easily to get caught up in just cool for cool's sake. But we find that as we build these compelling storylines around these characters, is that they are able to really sort of influence people around thinking things like one of our big things that we go after is sort of sustainability, eco-friendliness. What does that mean to a Gen Zer? And as well as figuring out how do you communicate that so that it doesn't sound preachy. So I think there's a great opportunity within gaming and within esports that one is really able to talk to people in an authentic manner that doesn't really have to have a 30-second TV ad to communicate that we need to save the rhino. You know what I mean?
Dude, I want to just get married to you and have your children, man. I think that this idea about authenticity, is really at the core of it. And you guys are, you're on the edge of deep fake, aren't you? I mean, you could, through the power of what you're doing, and it's so good to hear that you're taking that responsibility seriously. And we've all got a choice to make. I mean, there's nothing wrong with driving commercial outcomes, driving the bottom line. Of course, we need to do that. But I think Africa particularly is uniquely placed to actually balance what's the so-called triple bottom line, or whatever it is that you want to call it, the planet, people, and profits. And so if you can very subtly kind of put some good messaging in there, and you'll find that a lot of brands do relate to that. And certainly your community will, because it's that authenticity that's going to kind of bring them back again, isn't it? If you just stood up and used your characters just to flog products, they would seen it, got it, not relevant, pass, So, brilliant, dude. Love your work, man. Love your work.
Yeah, I mean, deep fake, it's quite hard to be authentic with the deep fake, but hey.
It's in the name.
But that is what it is, and I think, I don't know, but for Danny, you guys, I mean, with this Facebook ban and all of these things that happened, it was quite interesting how, like, the things that you guys are doing, RebelRebel, what's happening there? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, RebelRebel, as I mentioned earlier, is a tech solutions company that looks after the kind of like marketing services for some of the world's most like really cutting edge technology. We exist to look after a company called SpaceBack, which is our primary product, which essentially creates display and video assets from social media assets. So I've been working in online advertising my entire career, and as online advertising has grown and gotten smarter and more technical, the creative behind online advertising, i.e. the actual ads, it's the same banner ads that appeared on AOL 25 years ago. And we're supposed to be happy with a 0.15% click-through rate as an industry benchmark. And, we've got agencies around the world high-fiving each other and patting each other on the back for such wonderful performance. So we've basically taken upon ourselves for the African market, especially, to curate a portfolio of companies and services that they offer that help marketing agencies, brands, and media agencies take control of the creative and actually just drive more ownership and more accountability for it. So SpaceBack allows us to take the social creative and put it in the programmatic space and the online space. Rapid Fire is our other product, and Rapid Fire is a company based out of Vancouver in Canada. And we've been working with them for probably the last 6 years. 2014, it feels like an age ago. And I wanted to talk to you about a story around what we did for Mountain Dew back in the day that I thought was really quite nice in blurring the worlds of online and offline. But before I get into that, let me just tell you what Rapid Fire does. They're essentially a technology provider that pioneered what they call dynamic in-game advertising. So, we talk about in-game advertising these days is about, Candy Crush. You have to watch this video before you can get 3 more tokens, or watch this video to get X, Y, and Z. So it's very interruptive, ad-funded modeling, that kind of stuff. And for me personally, and I think research has been done, is it's when those videos and ads do start playing, you kind of put your phone down and you go and get something to drink, and you come back and you've got your tokens, you carry on playing. Interruption is not the greatest way to do anything in gaming, because you sit down to game for a reason. You need to relax, you need to break away, you need to be entertained, and now you've got advertisers just throwing, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this. And oftentimes, specifically with the in-app stuff, I've got a 5-year-old son who plays in-app games, or plays app games. He's the guy looking at whoever is trying to sell him a home loan or a Mercedes-Benz. He might click on it, he might play with it, doesn't mean he's actually going to go for a test drive. So from a marketing objective point of view, I think you're missing the mark there when doing interruptive in-app. So what Rapid Fire does is it actually speaks to gamers in games. Rapid Fire speaks to and works with some of the biggest developers in the world, like Ubisoft, Capcom, Konami, and 2K Sports, and they work with them from a development point of view. So think of something like Pro Evolution Soccer 2020, which is one of our biggest titles here in South Africa, from an online space. Those perimeter boards that run around the field while you're playing, Rapid Fire has spoken to the developers prior to this and hard-coded advertising tags within there that when they load, they look for an online signal. So is this game connected? Is it playing via PS4, Xbox, whatever it is? Is it connected to the internet? And who is connecting based on the PSN and Xbox Live account details? So we can say, great, I am a male, 34 years of age, living in Cape Town, South Africa. So therefore, an ad for steers should play. And if an ad for steers is loaded into the back end, I will be playing Pro Evo online against my friends and see steers adverts running around the perimeter board. It's non-invasive. It doesn't ask for a call to action. And it's almost like, we end up pitching it to agencies as virtual out-of-home advertising. So it's the same as those billboards that you see driving along the N1 or the N2. You barely see it. It's not going click here, sell this, sign up for a test drive. It's just, hey, there's steers. They've got a new King Steer special. And you can imagine that while sitting playing Pro Evo with 2 or 3 friends, if that perimeter board is running steers all day and someone gets up for a snack run, you can guarantee they're going to steers. At least, they're thinking about it, right? So, that's essentially what they do. They work with developers to put games into spaces that already exist within the game. So in Watch Dogs 2, you've got billboards, you've got bus shelters. So real world virtual advertising. And it adds to the game's kind of feel. And I think, South African gamers, those that we've polled, have noted that it makes them feel good about the game, that South African brands are actually taking the time and the effort to advertise to them. They see there's a viable market. So before my time is up, let me get to that story quickly around Mountain Dew. So, pre-COVID, when masks and social distancing were the things of science fiction films and like, George Orwell, 1984 type stuff, we used to have these things called campus activations where brands would pitch up on a campus like UCT, set something up. What's that?
They're showing your age there with campus activations.
Hey, listen, I've already told you my age. The hairline says older, but So we worked with Mountain Dew on something they called the Dew Tour, which is what they basically went around South Africa to campuses, and they set up these huge impromptu skate parks for their extreme sport kind of positioning, and they invited professional skaters to come and do demos. So, during sessions between lectures, you'd have skateboarders doing tricks, people handing out Mountain Dews, the t-shirt cannon was going. It was really, really cool. But what we did from a gaming point of view is with their kind of sponsorship by Xbox, we set up a whole bunch of Xboxes under a gaming tent, connected them to a Wi-Fi signal, And we had kind of contests around playing, and this is also going to show my age, Electronic Arts' Skate 3, if anybody remembers that title. And it's one of our biggest titles on the gaming kind of thing. I mean, this is like, it's between Tony Hawk's on the PS2 and where Tony Hawk is now. We had Skate for that little section. So what we did there, was with our in-game advertising and rapid fire, we actually injected Mountain Dew ads into the game, so that the gamers playing the actual skate contest were seeing the same branding on the ramps and the obstacles and the in-game environment as they were seeing outside at the actual the demo. And at one point, we actually had more people inside the tent looking at the big screen, commenting on the branding and how are these guys getting it right, rather than sitting out watching the professional skaters like put their bodies on the line. So for me, it was kind of like a real tipping point, going like, this is a huge market. Like, these people aren't playing the games, but they're actually watching. I mean, this is 2014, right? People are watching games like you would watch sport. So it's really, really, it was something that just kind of piqued my interest right there, and it kind of pushed me straight into thinking this is where marketing should be. And it culminated with one positive effect of COVID-19 is gaming is finally getting the recognition it finally deserves. We've always said it's bigger than music and movies combined. And analysts, everyone's like, oh, that's a great thing to say, but what do you do with it, right? And we saw between March 1st and April 30th that just the traffic on our network, and bear in mind, we don't have that many games, just the traffic on our network shot up by 40%. We now reach more than 1.2 million unique gamers in South Africa, and we generate almost 30 million impressions a month for advertisers. So it's really such a huge thing. And Africa is growing just as fast, the rest of Africa. So yeah, we're super on board with the gaming side of things. And we've got brands really just kind of knocking the door down, trying to get involved. But I agree with you, Glenn, in saying like, let's not throw a commercial message. We actually put it out there and we say, blend into the environment. Make it feel like, you're walking through Times Square. When we're playing Batman Arkham Knight, don't have like, buy now, sign up here. Just be like, hey, here's the new kind of Golf GTI. It's the market you're looking for, and it's aspirational, so let's go for it. So yeah, and that's from my side. Thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, that's really a great example. I mean, my first encounter with the gaming world was myself and a couple of mates. We had and still exists, a streetwear label in Cape Town called Tubop, which was a throwback to the old 20-cent piece coin that you needed for the corner game store, And it's what's been amazing. I mean, we used to have tees with like the Konami code and all of these different things. And just as a result of COVID, just the amount of interest now that is sort of has been re-energized around gaming. And you're quite right that gaming is getting the platform and the attention that it deserves. I mean, it also talks to what Glenn was talking about, where the level of engagement and time that people spend within these environments means that it's the most, as far as I'm concerned, it's the most valuable opportunity to engage with an audience. Whether it's teaching or educating or advertising, if you're not playing there, then you're really wasting time.
Yeah.
And for me, it's going to be quite interesting to see how, because of course we had this whole lockdown mentality of people, and now we're all desperate for gaming. And now that South Africa is in level 1, now we almost like we're forgetting what was happening during lockdown. So for me, it's going to be quite interesting to see how brands make gaming and esports a serious part of their strategy for the back end of the year and as well for next year, and how they maintain a level of consistency in that space. It's all good and well that we were there and everybody was desperate during lockdown, but is gaming going to be a proper part of your strategy? Are you going to be engaging the professionals in that space or the subject matter experts? And I mean, for you, Glenn, what has the increase been around where, in terms of inquiries from brands and that type of scenario? I mean, of course, I'm sure you must have seen an uptake, but what type of questions are you guys dealing with?
Yeah, it's great, and it's so amazing to actually hear everyone's different perspectives on it with the same core insights about what the big levers are here. For me, innovation is partly about doing the new thing, but it's also, frankly, about stopping to do the thing that no longer works. And COVID has exposed so much of what doesn't work in the world. If you think about corporate training, for example, it's pretty much done under threat. Go and sit there and click through some sort of PowerPoint presentation and get the big ideas around compliance or whatever it might be. And it really doesn't need to be that way, because if we can go back to the essence of what those messages need to be, often it's trading off. Compliance is literally it's perfect for gameplay, isn't it? Because it's really the subtlety of making these decisions. I want to balance my fame and my income versus my credibility, etc., etc. So what we've got to do is we've got to stop doing things that don't work. We've got to focus on the fundamentals, the human truths, which really don't change over time. But absolutely, it's not. I think to answer your question specifically, we absolutely are engaging with many of the big corporates in South Africa. Some of them are ready, some of them are not. But this doesn't need to be tens of millions of rand. This doesn't mean that you need to risk your corporate reputation. It just means that we need to sit down, we need to have a proper strategy around these things, or you've got to be very clear on what it is that you'd like to achieve. And then, as you say, work with the professionals. I mentioned that we've got 35 people. And the reason I did is because we've got business analysts, we've got researchers. We don't just come up with a series of cool ideas. We understand that person in the board meeting is putting their hand up and saying, listen, guys, instead of spending 3 million rand on the next TV commercial, which nobody's watching, I think we're going to take a calculated phase one investment into a game. And whoever does it first and who does it well wins. Because you don't want to be second in that category. I mean, the Super Animals, Super Cricket initiative that we did with Pick and Pay some time ago was an augmented reality collectibles thing. It was quite a phenomenon at the time. We got over 500,000 downloads during that campaign, by the way, which, is not an insignificant number in South Africa. And kids were happy. They were learning stuff, showing off how much they knew about wildlife or sport. Parents are happy because it's good quality screen time, educational. And then, of course, Pick and Pay was happy because it was driving the bottom line, but not in the pushy way. It was in the subtle way that we kind of, we spoke to. And I just think, why then is there not a strategy? Why then is it not hooked up to your reward scheme? Why is it not a serious thing? And we're developing one of our first products is going to be in exactly this space. We're working with some brands about it. But yes, we are getting it. And it's difficult because everyone is so fear-based now because of COVID, and so you do need to be a little bit brave. But let me say that doing the thing that doesn't work is probably the riskiest thing of all. And so we are seeing some people. Early majority. This is not innovator stuff. This is guys in serious corporate positions saying, guys, there's something going on here. How do we have a decent strategic conversation around it? And we're delighted to be part of that. And we're figuring it out as we go, but not recklessly so.
Yeah. Hardy, just to add there as well, I mean, from our side as well, we're actually getting the calls now. Normally it was myself and Mike and Shauna knocking on doors going, hey, do you want to be you want to be in the gaming space, Now it's, the big brands are actually coming to us going, we'd like to invite you to a session with us and our agency to understand how you can help us get in. We've had engagements with a lot of the alcohol providers as well, the alcohol kind of companies, simply because they've been slapped with so many restrictions lately. They need to, defend kind of their market shares in environments where they're able to not get away with things, but like act within the confines of their new restrictions. So we're seeing that happen quite a lot now, and it's positive. Like I said, we've been working on this since like 2014. So it's finally nice to be able to have those incoming emails rather than those 150 cold emails going out and getting like 2 responses. So no, it's the tide is turning from a marketing level point of view.
No, definitely. I mean, we found as well that now everybody and their auntie wants their own virtual character, and it's just like, guys, you can't just have a virtual character. Like, we actually have to. It has to have a story. We're not trying to. It's not Cody and Dub here that we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are things that have storylines, and I suppose that people have been willing to learn, and as well as that people are prepared to sort of to see and hear how they can possibly do it. I think that more than anything else, that the pandemic has been good for people to have a broader mind around how and where they could be doing. And I mean, let's face it, the bulk of our monies is always going to come from advertisers, and we need that monies to enable whatever good we would like to do. And I mean, it's very interesting that you mentioned the alcohol industry, because traditionally that's where the majority of the budgets sit, and those are usually the people that are also quite far easier to convince around committing to some sort of innovative process. So it will be interesting to see how that comes into that gaming space, because you don't want to really you don't want to be influencing underage people, but also realizing, and how does one strike that balance,
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. Is the platform that we represent allows us to target 18 plus, because it's got that PSN or Xbox Live account detail. Again, that doesn't cater for, it's the same as, my 5-year-old playing on a smartphone example. It doesn't encounter if my son picks up my PS4 controller that's linked to my kind of my profile, and he starts seeing ads for Castle Life or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, that is the space, but it's about, speaking to players within titles that wouldn't generally be played by a younger audience. So we look at we represent Dying Light as an in-game title here in South Africa. So that's not going to be played by my 5-year-old, hopefully. We make assumptions.
We really are.
Well, listen, he's not going to be going to sleep if that does happen. But it's pretty much all online advertising is assumption based off whatever data we can get. But as we iterate more and more, we get sharper and sharper with the targeting there.
Yeah, and I think for me, if I may just come in on this, there's a tension that exists between responsible drinking and selling more alcohol, and how do you reconcile that? I don't think that anybody in the world has kind of done that. Well, one of the first thing that you need to do is you need to change your KPI structure for your reps and the whole, it becomes a big change management challenge within the organizations. But frankly, if you don't do that, then you can expect the government to increasingly regulate the way that this is done. And again, if we were to build a game in this space, there's very interesting ways that you can kind of layer in very serious messaging, but kind of in a fun, non-preachy, I think it was the word that you used earlier, because that doesn't work. I mean, running these big TV ads and so on have actually been proven not to have much effect, either on getting people to stop smoking back in the day when that was a reality, and as this market goes dark. So yeah, we definitely know that there's an opportunity to do responsible drinking, to drive your sales in a measured kind of way, and do that in a fun kind of way with this very serious messaging that kind of underpins it. So whoever goes first wins. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Okay, James, thank you so much for your time. Thanks to the team at Business of Gaming and Comic-Con, Kayla, Jordan, the whole squadron. Thank you for having us. I don't know if anybody else has something else to say in closing.
No, I'm good. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's an absolute pleasure being part of the first online version of Comic-Con, and we hope to see everyone in person next time around.
Please.
Absolutely. And I just want to echo that finally and just say thanks as well to Comic-Con for actually having a Business of Gaming forum and allowing us to have these conversations on the edge of it, to realize that gaming is changing the world, and we all need to be part of that narrative. So yeah, great to connect with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe out there.
Cool. Thank you. Bye-bye.